Any questions on this grant?
Great.
Joe?
Aye.
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 Motion carried 403.
See how they're bringing in revenue but already spending it?
That's very good. Okay, resolution 1920-79, approval of activity club account creating for e-gaming. Need a motion?
So moved.
Jenny?
Second.
Second by Joe.
You probably did this out of order. A couple meetings ago, you approved the co-curricular stipends, and on there was the e-gaming on behalf of Mr. Schultz. So Scott and I asked Matt to quickly put together just a quick summary that normally would have come with his recommendation to hire. And he's met one of the requirements that if you're going to start a activity fund, we certainly want you to be able to have club officers, as well as meetings and a description of the program. So,
Do you think they have off-site competitions? Or?
One of the larger ones, Dick, can be off-site, but due to the nature of the e-gaming, you really don't have to travel because it's just everybody's connected.
Any questions on this activity club edition?
So pretty much they can fundraise and they can spend the money that they're.
Buy
You're not contributing.
software.
It's for them to purchase.
Yeah.
I know I watched them one night, it was beyond me. Way behind me.
Jenny?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carried 403. Resolution 1920-80, approval of 2019-2020 preliminary budget.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Joel, second by Dick.
I do want to say a couple things about this budget that I find interesting. I remember talking to some individuals, and they always thought the school board was more of a rubber stamp, especially with budgets. And the process of this budget was simply this. This is what I saw. Might not necessarily be exactly, but it's from my point of view. Understand the restrictions that we have making the budget, especially with timing and stuff like that. It's very tough. But here's the thing. A lot of this budget could have looked a lot different if we would have maybe thought about getting more board members involved. Now I understand that maybe John Westfall, I don't know, I'm hoping that you saw this way before I did.
Sure.
If that's the case, that's also wrong. So, because I had no clue that the $450 from the city was even going to go into this year's budget, I'm happy that we got that. And I'm thinking that maybe we could have put that for future uses. Didn't understand that the deficit was going to be that large without the $450. No clue, no inclination. I think there is a failure within the school district itself to notify the board members who notify their taxpayers and are accountable to them. So let me tell you the process of what happened. Waiting for a budget. 2 months ago, things seemed to be pretty well. Counts seemed to be pretty good. Things changed, got that. So Murphy's Law, I understand that very well. All of a sudden, we're still working on it and working on it. So Saturday at about 12:30, I receive an email. At that time, I'm doing some other things, and so I look at it at midnight, start crunching numbers, and no one, not even an inclination that the $450 was already spent. Then after crunching the numbers, I was like, uh-oh, that money's in there. Oh, by the way, we're still running a deficit. Then, to me, when you're looking at budgets, one of the most important things a school district does, I think it's a total failure of leadership. And that's my personal opinion from being a board member. I'm appalled, I'm shocked. And if other board members knew before the rest of us, see, I take a look at it as, and I'm just looking at it from my point of view, what I saw. If there was an inclination that there was a problem, you could have simply emailed every board member saying we got an issue. I think budgets are what we do. We're accountable to the taxpayers, and I'm disappointed in this year's budget. I'm disappointed in how this came about. I'm disappointed at the timing of all of this. Having said that, I appreciate all the work Ryan did. I appreciate all the work. I know what it goes on putting together a budget. It's not easy. I understand the issues trying to forecast budgets. But here's the thing. 3 years ago, I'll never forget talking to a taxpayer saying, we're going to run some major deficits. We're going to need an operations referendum. It's going to have to happen. It's either that or we got to make huge cuts. Either or. It doesn't matter. So unless you're going to, you got a healthy fund balance, yeah, you can eat up some of that stuff, but at some point, you got to do what you got to do. It's going to come. It's just numbers. Said that at the city before when it was like with the golf course. You guys are going to sell it, or we're going to do this. It's just, at the end of the day, it's just numbers. So I'm hoping in the future that maybe we get more feedback, emails, information. It's not a violation of any type of anything if you're emailing the entire board. Budgets are looking bad. There's a deficit issue. We're going to have to spend the $450 for me to be sitting there Saturday at midnight finally looking at it. It came to me at noon, and I've got to review this today. I'm probably one of the few people that look at the numbers in depth. Most people don't.
I like to respond. So, one, I take the feedback wholeheartedly, get it, absolutely. So when we were working with the budget, if you talked to me a month ago, I wasn't going to predict to you that all $450,000 was going to be used. We didn't even think we're getting $450,000 in revenue from it.
I thought it was $398.
So we were carrying $120,000, and that $120,000 has been in our budget discussions as being used this school year. That's been the dialogue that I've had with Ryan. So if that didn't make it to you, I apologize. But our number's been $120,000. That was built in the budget just as revenue. So our open enrollment, that's a change of $60,000. That's not the discussion. Really what I think the challenge is that the $100,000 for us, we wanted to make sure today, that those dollars are in the budget. There's always been $100,000 committed out of this, out of the Board of Education to the auditorium. It's always been there. When we've had our budget documents for the referendum, there's been $100,000 commitment from the district.
I'd like to see that taken out.
That's in this, though, but that's in
I'd like to see that taken out, which we can't because it's spent. So
it's been part for 3 years now. It's been part of budget
It's
document.
longer than that. It started out at 50 and then we raised it to 100, probably 5 years ago already.
So, but that commitment on a fund balance is officially done then, the $100,000. So, but that's part of the deficit, the $100,000.
Right.
The roof that we have brought it to the committee, we brought it to here. We were trying to figure out as much as possible ways that we could limit the actual referendum 24.5 to help to offset that is the deal. So working with Findorf, we just got actually some final budget numbers. Ryan and I met the date of our September 25th open house was the time that we figured out what are our contingency dollars finally going to be, and we still have requested some kind of line by line what capital maintenance is included in that. So for us, we have been navigating the referendum up to this point. So for me, this is a roof project at the high school, which we have been open about, saying it's only $100,000 built in the budget. We need to do this. We put so many penetrations in the roof, that roof's not going to make it. We need to do it, but it wasn't included in the scope of the original referendum. Example of not included in the scope is the front of the school. It's not in the scope. We didn't do anything with it. We've been cleaning it up. Actually, now the traffic pattern is much less. It might just be fine, you know. So, but that wasn't included in it as well. But we have to pay for that. And so now that the dust is settled, we could have given you more of an FYI. I would say that's our working relationship with Findorf and not having some solid numbers from them throughout the experience, but I'm not going to point a finger solely at them. So we were not sure of the final outcome other than budgets were tight. I had given you presentations, and that's when we've been crunching numbers. And then we just kind of said, okay, get the project done. We actually got more back in contingency from Findorf, as of right now it looks, than we originally were carrying. We had focus on energy rebates, we have 75,000, it only came back in at 49. So a lot of this is the impact of a small amount on open enrollment, the insurance changes, some of those just happened with hires,
Correct.
literally secretaries that just got hired. Those are things that are new variables. But yeah, so Ryan and I, both, I speak on behalf of myself, very surprised at the fact that where's the 450? But then, when we realized the $100,000 board commitment, the roof project itself, it starts to chip away at that. Those are one-offs, those are one and dones. For me, my concern as the superintendent of the district is looking at the overall, what are the repeats? What are we going to see as repeats? And starting to get strategic on what are we doing for cost savings moving ahead.
So you look at that, and that's great, Scott. And I appreciate everything you're doing. The only thing I'm saying is the Board of Education, along with you and all the principals, at some point need to sit together. Our budgets are changing. I'm asking the Board of Education to take this serious. Our deficits are coming. Numbers don't lie. It is what it is. But with that, you also have to take into account and tell the public. See, the public's going to see one thing, my taxes went down, and the reality is spending increased. So it's because added valuation, it's just the way the numbers shake out sometimes. City does the same thing, mayor will say, oh, your taxes went down. No, your spending increased big time, you just don't know that. Same thing at the county, they do it every year. But we need to be committed on one thing, telling the public the truth, which means everything should be, as soon as you get the information, when it comes to this stuff, to me, it's like ding, 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 that's important. But the next thing is, next year, I'm hoping over the course of this time, we have a serious discussion, because you have to be serious and either look at an operations referendum, or we need to make some serious cuts. And I'm at the point, I don't care which it is. It's got to be fixed. That's what I care about. And I'll support any way that it needs to get fixed. But that's where I'm seeing the budgets and I'm seeing the numbers. You could predict that 3 years ago from the point you guys passed the referendum. It was coming. It's just numbers. So it's time for the Board of Education. I'm hoping, along with you, principals, and everyone else, and most of the leadership, we got to get serious here.
Yeah.
Because these numbers are going to
Otherwise,
impact us big time.
Otherwise, some of the enhancements that we've done to our program, like in special education services,
Yeah.
we've had some important add-ins. Just like that, can we do that? The intervention support we put in place, do we have the funds available for that? I have people coming right now saying, hey, can we add this staff member, like a support staff position? No, we actually have a deficit budget right now, you know. So, but even as an administrative team, who we are working together to navigate the budget, some of these variables, we've been hearing, we know we have a $100,000 commitment to the referendum.
Sure,
To me,
sure.
that's been out there. We know that the roof needs to get paid. I knew that. However, we're putting it all in one piece at this point in time, and it, to me, feels like a little bit of sticker shock, because all those numbers are coming together at once.
I got that, but even if you took those numbers out, we're still at issues.
About
And we need
$250,000 to $300,000.
Absolutely, so because that's what I did. You take out the numbers and you're like, we've got to start prepping and getting serious. And I mean, we can all kid each other, and hopefully, like, we got saved by the state 2 years in a row. We got saved by the city. That's the way I look at it. But numbers wise, the carrots that were given to us is what I would call it. It's time to get serious.
The past few years, we've been able to kind of hunker down and make some savings throughout the year. So I'm optimistic, that deficit is not going to look that way. But I will share too, like, I think the budget's tight. I don't believe we have a lot of extra dollars that are sitting around. I am not going to say the sky is falling. I'm going to say realistically, we need to look at staffing.
But you fix it before it does fall.
Yeah, great. So right now, the referendum and that scope of work is complete. Now we're going to bring capital maintenance plans that are going to have some major costs to them. We're going to bring in a tech plan that has costs. Yeah, we're going to have some data, some actual resources in front of us coming this year, not in the month of May, in this year, and then we're going to have some major heart-to-heart discussions about our priorities as a district and how we're gonna fund some of these things. I completely agree with all of that. So as far as the overall package for this budget, Ryan and I were working on it last week, Wednesday. Ryan was gone Thursday and Friday, and he did not feel comfortable just sending out something. He wanted to have the story put together. So we got it on Saturday, and to me, it's a preliminary budget. There's some more work coming, but it's all out there, I'll tell you that much. So we don't have anything else that we could possibly think of that was an expense of. So I apologize that you believe the information has not been transparent. So that's never been the goal. We're trying to get it out there as much as possible. It's been in pieces and never been in one place.
Yeah,
So
but if you're sitting in my shoes and you see it from that point of view, that's what you
You
get.
were told about the roof, you were told about all these numbers.
Sure,
all the way along.
absolutely.
And this is a budget. The thing I look at, we never had made a transfer all year long in any of these accounts. That's a very good budget when you can do that and have it that close. We did not have one transfer in any of these accounts last year. So when we go through, you just ask Ryan halfway through, how are we doing? And he'll answer you, he'll give you the question, all you know, and when it comes to the end of the year, that's the only time you know what's really up.
what's happened is the referendum itself has to be done in the 2019-20 school year. So with that, all the accounts have to be reconciled. So what we're talking about is pretty much a 3-year process that's got up to this point, and these dollar amounts, they're done. This is it. So the roof project, it's built into this budget. The $100,000 commitment, it's built into the budget. So, and when we've been having conversations, it's just been yeah, we'll have to get to that. Well, now's the time. We realize now's the time. Otherwise, what we would have happened is a budget that was upside down. So we would have presented to you now, because the referendum's still in progress. It still goes through the end of this school year. So it would not be best practice, but it could have been hanging out there the whole entire time, and at the end of the school year, we're trying to figure out how to reduce scope and reduce costs in the local budget and have that number be less. But we just decided, hey, let's just make sure everybody understands, state of the state, we've got these commitments that are out there, let's build it in the budget. So again, I appreciate the feedback. It's a unique opportunity. It's the referendum is complete, and this is the state of the state, and all said and done.
You know, in the past many years that I've been here, I always look at there are so many variables in the budget that can change throughout the year, and I have never gotten excited about a big deficit, because I know at the end of the year that we are always, even last year, we projected $130,000 deficit.
Yeah, for this year. Last year.
This last year,
Or
and we
18.
ended up 2,000 ahead. So I always look at it as, our budget, we always estimate so that we don't go the other direction. Now, I know we had talked too about this money, to go into another fund. That,
Either Fund 46 and Fund 41 is probably not a good idea.
and my thought was that maybe we could put some of that money into there. That's why, this preliminary budget didn't scare me. That's why, I think that.
I look, instead of 100,000 going to this, I was at 100,000 put away in a Fund 46. I mean, it's little things like that think strategically. So because your maintenance costs are going to go up in the future, not now, everything's new. It's just like a car. You prep for either the next car or you're prepping for maintenance down the road, because the state's going to break down.
But the two variables that we're talking about are the roof for Mayville High School
Correct. Those are
and a
things
$100,000
thrown in.
commitment to the auditorium.
Sure.
And additional cost, that was because the laws changed on the roof.
Correct.
We had to add more insulation and put a border all around the outside of the roof, and that was almost $200,000 more that we did not expect.
And we ended up going owner direct for that as well, in order to save money.
Any more discussion? And in the future, we can always improve.
We used to have this out in July,
Yeah.
and it wasn't worth the paper time.
Right.
I will say though, it would have helped to get this information out to the board earlier. So, point made,
Yeah.
where we could get, even if it's still flawed because there's challenges in it, we could absolutely get you the preliminary budget.
You keep annexing
in
as you go
July.
along.
Yeah,
This is what's
we could
going
do
on. We annex budgets all
For
the
sure.
time. That's how you get to the final end point,
So,
but you're strategically planning that,
Right.
annexing it. as you
so
go
we'll do
along.
that. So this next summer, we'll get you a preliminary budget in advance, just to make sure, because putting this together is how we got all the pieces put together too. Because we were not looking at it in the big system and how it all goes together. We weren't. We were looking at the referendum budget, trying to get all that wrapped up. The $100,000 has always just been sitting out there, but it wasn't a part of a document that we're referring to today. So yeah, so we could absolutely do that. We won't have a referendum at that point in time, but we can certainly get a preliminary budget to the board sooner with our estimates for enrollment and estimates for the revenues and expenses. But still, we could
And I appreciate you
absolutely
guys'
do that.
hard work.
You did
I know,
run it.
I appreciate you
You
guys'
did
hard
do
work.
that, you did that this year.
Yeah,
We had a 3-hour meeting back there,
Right.
right?
Oh, yeah.
Employment.
yeah, true.
To my defense, the open enrollment stuff and third Friday coming is September 24th. That's why I went backward. As you said, we met with Findorf on the 25th. I had a WASBO conference last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I had 4 business days. And I literally told Scott, I'm not gonna push out a half-effort report, because then I come up here and that's even worse. That's why I spent today. I can't be any more transparent on this report, and I understood there was gonna be that 445,000. This is much more detailed than anything I've ever given.
Right, it's beautiful.
The other thing too is with Findorf, we did try to have that meeting earlier. It didn't work out in schedules. So we literally just had the meeting wrapping up the referendum. And wrapping up
This is the
things.
budget time right now. This is the presentation, the date. You got till the 30th to argue out if you want to drop or add or whatever you want to do. This is the first time it really all came together. If you'd have done it a month ago, you'd have had to redo it again for tonight.
But the big variables that we're discussing that had an impact on the budget,
Yeah, but that was all brought out
Yeah.
over time.
they were discussed in chunks, is the deal. That's what I understand. We did discuss them. They have been presented, but they didn't get put together as an overall package. So that's the feedback that I'm listening to, and I get it, so.
Any more discussion? Joe? No.
Aye.
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 Motion carried 3-1-3. Resolution 1920-81, approval of purchase of passenger van as presented earlier. Any motion?
So moved.
Dick, seconded by
Second.
Jen.
You probably got it already, huh?
No. So there were 3 bids. Out of those bids, the first bid is from Ewald. It's the one that came in at $20,968. Reviewed them, we believe it's apples to apples. That's how Travis presented it to me. Next to. Oh, that's the only one you included in the packet?
No, keep going. No, there were 3 of them.
Mine.
That's the third one.
Just looking for a dollar amount. 27,595 for the third one. There we go. So that's from Ottawa Pond. And here we go. So Summit Automotive 2023.
Where are they out of?
Summit?
So
Plymouth? Oh, okay. Oh, we did buy some from them.
Summit's fine.
I got them here if you want to see them in right side.
Okay, so based upon that and the significant difference in costs from the 3, the committee came up with a recommendation to purchase the van from Ewald. So $20,000. $20,968.
Any questions on this approval to purchase? Dick?
Aye.
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 Abstain.